In this video, I'll be going over how to start up the P-47. First, you can turn on the parking brake. You just click on this handle right here to hold it back, and then you press down on your brake pedals and let go of your brake pedals, and then you let go of the handle. And if you did it right, it should stay pulled out like this. Okay, now you can turn the battery on using this switch right here. Now we can go ahead and close the canopy. There's two ways you can do it. You can either use this switch here to close it, or you can click on this red handle back here and pull it out to close it. Okay, now we can turn the air filter on if it's dusty outside. If you want to do that, you use this black lever right here and you just click it to push it forward. For me, it's not really dusty outside, so I'm just gonna turn it off. Now we can turn on our fuel using this red handle here. You want the short part of the handle to be pointing up on main, like this. Since we're down here, we can also turn on the generator. Now we can turn on the magnetos. The magnetos are kind of like the spark plugs in the engine. You can turn on both of them using this red handle. Now we need to put the oil cooler shutter doors to neutral. You can see the gauge right here. You just use this switch to put it to neutral. In case you're wondering, whenever you do that, what you're actually adjusting is this door right here. Now we need to do the same thing for the intercooler shutter doors. These are the same thing as the oil cooler, except the oil cooler controls the temperature of the oil, and the intercooler controls the temperature of the air that goes to the engine. So you use this top switch here to put the gauge to neutral. And you can see that when we do that, we're adjusting this door on the back of the plane. Okay, now these are both at neutral, so we can move on. Now we need to prime the engine. This just means putting some gas in it to start it up. You do it with this switch here called the primer. First, you right-click it to unlock it. Then you pump it 4 to 6 times. The colder it is outside, the more times. It's pretty hot outside, so I'm just gonna do 4. Then you right-click it again to lock it. Now we need to get ready for the engine start. First, there's a lever here that's black that says P for propeller. Make sure that's all the way forward. Next, this big handle here is your throttle. Just move it a little bit forward so it's a little bit opened up. Make sure this lever that says B for boost is all the way backwards. And make sure the lever that says M is all the way backwards. Now you need to right click on this switch and engage and then let go. Now what this does is set the starter brushes. Now, I'm not a pilot, so I don't actually know what that means. Okay, so now we're ready to start the engine. Now first, I'm just gonna really quickly go over how the engine start is gonna work, just so you know everything, and then I'll actually show you starting it. So whenever we start the engine, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold this switch in the energized position for like 15 to 20 seconds. And that is gonna use the motor to spin up this flywheel. And then after about 20 seconds, we're gonna put this switch up to the engaged position. That is gonna make the flywheel catch onto the engine and start spinning it. And you'll see the propeller start spinning. Whenever it starts spinning, you're going to keep this held up in the engaged position. And then you're gonna move this red lever to this position that says auto rich. That is gonna start putting fuel in the engine, and the engine will catch and start up. Once the engine catches and starts up, you're just gonna put this back to the middle position. Now, during startup, you're gonna have to be using this switch and this red lever at the same time. So I would recommend clicking your mouse on this one and binding this lever to something on your keyboard so it's easier to use. Okay, so let's actually start it now. So first, I'm gonna put this to energize and you'll be able to hear it spin up. 1, 2, 13, 14, 15. Put it to engage, put this forward, and then let go, and our engine started up. Okay, now you need to adjust your throttle, which is this big lever here. You want to adjust it so the RPM says 900. Okay, now we need to wait for the engine to warm up, which will take about 2 to 3 minutes. The way that you'll know it's warmed up is when this gauge here, cylinder head temperature, it'll say 100 degrees. Now you might be saying, oh, I don't need to wait for the engine to warm up, I'll just go ahead and take off. And that's what I said the first time, and while I was taking off, my engine exploded, so make your own decision. Okay, so it's been like 2 minutes, and you can see my temperature head is 100 degrees, which means I'm warmed up now. So that is the startup, and now you're ready to taxi and take off.